If we live in the metaverse and put goggles on our head and believe that we look like Brad Pitt all day long and that we are very attractive next to celebrities, wow. We may feel good about ourselves, but it will not be the reality that we all share. Mm-hmm. And the same if you take recreational drugs. You may feel high and very good, but it's not the reality. Now,
any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
If there was a news media back 2.5 billion years ago, they would say some good news and some bad news about life in the solar system. Because what happened was that Mars lost its atmosphere around that time, and it used to have liquid water on the surface. It's pretty obvious based on all the data we have from the Perseverance rover, most recently. So there were clearly lakes, and eventually, for some mysterious reason, Mars lost its atmosphere. I mean, it has a much lower gravity than the Earth, but there was some event that caused it to lose its atmosphere, and as a result, all liquid water on its surface, all life forms. So we might find evidence that life existed on early Mars because it was not very different from early Earth. Now, around the same time, 2.5 billion years, it could be a complete coincidence or maybe not. But the oxygen level in the atmosphere of Earth rose abruptly. We don't know why. I mean, we know what produced the oxygen, cyanobacteria, but we don't know why there was this sudden rise in the oxygen level. And that, of course, enabled all the chemistry that allowed complex life forms like ourselves to exist. There wasn't much oxygen in the first half of the life of the Earth. And both events occurred at the same time. There was bad news on Mars, good news on Earth for intelligent life or complex life, and maybe they were related. I don't know. But when we look at other planets, one thing to keep in mind is, that we have a 50% chance to conclude that life exists if there is oxygen, because there was microbial life on Earth for half of its life without much oxygen in the atmosphere. And the second is that within 1 billion years from now, the sun will boil off all the oceans on Earth. Okay, so even Earth will lose its atmosphere and the water on its surface. And that's 1 billion years from now. So that's like 20% left. We don't have much time left. One thing to keep in mind, most stars like the sun formed 5 billion years before the sun.
That's right.
So they already went through that. Now, we didn't hear the cries for help from those civilizations that were on these habitable planets like the Earth and said, wow, we're losing our, atmosphere, we're losing our oceans, we're losing everything. And they cried for help. There must have been sort of an immediate exodus. They must have sent lots of spacecraft. In fact, most of the interstellar objects, most of the interstellar crafts may have been launched at this last phase when the civilizations that were highly evolved technologically realized we're about to die. My point is, that's something to keep in mind. When we look for SETI radio signals, they cannot come from a star that evolved into the red giant phase, like most of the sun-like stars went through that, and therefore just forget about it.
What makes us think that if you come up with proof or Avi comes up with some discovery that anything will be different 20 years from now?
To me, science, it's a learning experience about reality, okay? So it's because it allows us to adapt to it. If we have the wrong ideas, if we live in the metaverse and put goggles on our head and believe that we look like Brad Pitt all day long and that we are very attractive next to celebrities, we may feel good about ourselves, but it will not be the reality that we all share. Mm-hmm. And the same if you take recreational drugs. You may feel high and very good, but it's not the reality. Now, the scientific inquiry allows us to figure out what reality is. And sometimes it contradicts our, prior beliefs, like quantum mechanics, was in conflict with the traditional thinking. And Einstein had a problem with that, but he was wrong, okay? So the point of the matter is that by understanding why you are wrong, you can then realize how to cope with the new sense of reality. So for example, if you know that the Earth moves around the sun, when you design a space mission, you take that into account. If you believe very decisively that the sun moves around the Earth, you will never get to your destination by launching a rocket, okay? Because you have the wrong idea. So reality is whatever it is, and we better adapt to it. And the only way to do that is by, collecting data. Human beings are not scientific sensors. They're not scientific tools. We learn that over history. That's why we are using instruments. And that's what science is based on. So collecting quantitative data, understanding your instruments, and then learning something new about reality will benefit us no matter what we find.